never know.
Well, as you can tell from the crazy song and from the interesting graphics of a waterfall, I'm in charge tonight.
You're back to the waterfall.
Yeah, I don't have anything. I don't know. Nobody ever shared anything with me. It's okay. I don't need it. I don't want it. I just use my stuff and I'm happy it's running and it may not be the normal stuff, but hey, at least there's something nice to look at. There's something nice to listen to. Nobody better be complaining. Just saying.
That's right. And I wish I was looking at the waterfall, but I look out my window and I see the river and the water, and I'm feeling pretty calm.
You from Massachusetts right now? I think I can't. No, I can't do
What
Massachusetts. Wow, I
was
don't know what the
that?
fuck that was. I was trying to do Massachusetts and it started going southern. And I just stopped.
Wow.
Boston. That's
They
all I can
would
say.
they would really dislike you.
Oh yeah, I don't even try. I don't normally try, and it was just something funny when you were doing that. And I'm like, oh, maybe I'll. No, don't do that.
That's okay.
Oh my.
That's okay. So how's things going?
Okay, I'm looking at. We have chat rules. Open mind, no judging, no attacking, no Karens, no snowflakes, all voices welcome. But that's not true. All voices are not welcome. Our Beard on Tap got shunned the other day on Sunday night with Kevin and me, and then he didn't come back with Jerry and myself Monday nights. Now I feel bad. Like I feel like he got angry or annoyed. Not angry, probably annoyed because some chat bot thing like kicked him out. I'm like, really? He didn't say anything inappropriate. He and Jerry were joking. So I don't know.
I just like the fact that somehow we're listed as fitness and health. That
What?
is that is fantastic that we're listed in
What
fitness
the
and health
hell?
category.
Wow, yeah, because you are very healthy and I
I
am totally
am
fit.
I am the picture of health. So I think this is very appropriate.
Oh, right. Oh my
Um,
God.
hmm, I'm gonna channel my inner Tony Little. You can do it.
Wow.
I wow, that's pretty cool.
That's very
Honestly,
interesting.
honestly, I could truly say that I haven't had the chance to really look at much of anything with everything going on and life stuff. But I don't know. It's been a very interesting world when it comes to the streaming platforms. Were you aware about our recent suspensions?
I saw something about we got suspended on YouTube again because somebody was
We're gone.
playing things that were completely gone.
Yes, they
Because we have, I'm sorry, but am I wrong to say that we've had several different groups of people like using copyrighted things, even though they've been told 1,001 fucking times, and then isn't that what we got kicked for again?
This one didn't give a specific reason. It was a YouTube deliberate strike. It was actually a new host, and he was playing something, but he wasn't playing it directly, and he was speaking over it and had video over it. At the same time, it was also no warning, and there was no copyright claim from WWE, so it was just a kill shot. They figured they took advantage of it. So, yeah, they made that go away. Um, and I've appealed it, and I've heard nothing. Still, we're going on a week. And then, of course, on the VOP Twitter account, we have been permanently, well, we don't know if it's permanent or not. It just says account suspended. And
Wow.
yes, because I decided to engage with a lovely idiotic troll. And I said something very, very, very PG. It was pretty weak. I had
Wait,
fun with it.
PG or PG for you? There's a difference.
PG in general,
Okay.
I would say. It certainly wasn't the worst stuff. And that, of course, got us removed. That's our first time ever being removed, so I don't know if it's going to come back. I appealed that, and of course, we've heard nothing. So the fun part of that is, though, getting to use my main Twitter account, which has 1,100 more followers than the VOP account had. So I just think that's kind of entertaining, but they've been doing some selective kill shots whenever alternative accounts are created and things of that nature.
Gotcha.
They always make it entertaining. They really do. And in the Haps universe, which my feelings on Haps, I'm kind of a whatever. I not a
I have not even once looked at it, so there you go.
You're not missing much. Um, I am no fan of the platform, as I will continuously say. They haven't banned us yet. They haven't censored us yet, but
Yeah.
they like to drop audio every now and again and things of that nature.
Oh, okay.
So we see where that's going, but
Yeah.
it's at the end of the day, it's okay. And when we get our censorship and we get our bans and everything else, it makes me feel warm and fuzzy. And no, I do not love them. I bash haps on haps just to see what'll happen. Oh my god.
Wow, look at you
I
being all
gotta
witty.
no, I gotta stop. I wasn't even trying. I even annoyed myself there. I'll give my I did. I really did. Um, but it's okay, you know. So what are you gonna do? I'm quite content with
Use
it.
the shrug emoji. That's what you do.
Mm. It's always a good time. We always find a way to piss off a certain sector of people, but that's good. You know, and something that we're going to be doing soon that I'm going to try to actually use some of the numerous platforms that we pay monthly for
Mm.
is start doing some selected unfiltered shows where we're not really multicasting onto the social media world and just using the website and selected site, if you will, and make it exclusive, make it something special.
I think
Because,
that's a great idea. Yeah.
excuse me, yes, it's something a little bit different. It's something to engage, and I think you know, it'll it'll be something. It'll be something
Yeah.
different. Why not? We have the opportunity. We have the platforms to utilize to use it, so we might as well.
Hmm.
But I'm at the point where I really want to take some things in a different direction. And I think why not? We might as well use it to our advantage.
Right.
So there.
I think that's a great idea. Like especially if you kind of run it as if it were a like a special, like for those of you who, have the inside scoop and know where to go through the actual website. Join us
Well,
there where we'll not be censored.
correct. I mean, inevitably, this is all a means to an end
Hmm.
because we're using the socials as I put out there while we're on social media. I mean, I tell you all the time. I never hide it. We're using you. We're literally using you like you use us,
Yeah.
and inevitably we'll drive it to one direction. So there you go. And
Yeah.
that's it. I know that I'm incredibly boring, and I
Yeah. Okay.
I know that I am insanely dull tonight, but I don't know. I'm feeling well. It's hot, and
Yes.
and
Yes.
and I could complain all day, but it gets us nowhere. So, question for you:
Yes, sir.
what is your 30,000-foot view of the state of our world?
Oh. Well, I kind of think that it's falling apart. You said the whole world, so now I'm drawn into the whole nightmare that is this never-ending Middle East disaster. I will be the first to admit, I so I'm gonna start with this, and I need some schooling. I'm very honest, like I really don't know my Middle Eastern history at all. And so all I know vaguely is that everyone keeps wanting to make reparations to the Jewish people for all of the shit they've gone through in their entire, lineage. And at some point after World War II, someone decided to give Israel the land that actually belonged to Palestine, just because they said it was their holy land, even though Palestine had it, and it has been a never-ending fight since then. I know that I am super, super dumbing things down. I'm just telling you my view, so then you can school me in a bit.
No, 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 no. Go ahead.
So I mean, I just there's always two sides. I don't know who's right in this one. However, so I was kind of leaning a little bit more towards what the hell's going on because and feeling bad for Palestine and again I'm open to school me on this, so don't anybody freak out and be like, oh my god, blah blah blah, you anti-Semite. No, I'm not. But it just seems odd that you take something from, I don't know who had it first to begin with. So anyhow, it bothered me that Israel's like going crazy and purposely targeted a high rise in Palestine that just happened to house two of the main press there, the I think the AP office there and the Al Jazeera office. I'm like, well, gee, just happened to knock out the press, and then apparently there was some other lie where they led the media to believe that I don't know that something had happened and it hadn't. And anyhow, so I'm getting like lost in the details. But the one thing
No, they manipulated the media to do a sneak attack essentially.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So I as I said, I was kind of like feeling pretty bad for the Palestinians. And then I was listening. I have hardly listened to it anymore, but I did turn on CNN the other day briefly when I was doing dishes, and they had some guy on. He was some expert that had been like one of the, excuse me, sorry, my allergies are bad. Had been the I don't know, like a liaison of some kind or whatever to Israel for many years, like since like back like in the original Bush days. I think it was Bush, and then he was there for Clinton too or something. I don't know. He was there for a long time. And he said that he is very alarmed. He's a Democrat. So I don't know if he was there for Bush, but anyhow, I guess it was just Clinton and Obama. But he said he's very alarmed by the general, so that the whippersnappers in Congress, the Democrats, and he called them the younger ones. In other words, the extra left wing liberals there, like AOC and all that, have been speaking out against what Israel's been doing to the Palestinians. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. If she's saying that, am I on the wrong side now? Because, I can't stand her. I was like, uh-oh. But, he was like, they don't understand everything that Israel's done for us and all these years and why we need. And I'm like, you're right. They don't. And I don't either. Like, I need someone to explain to me why we should be, as a country, we are always backing up Israel. Is it only because there are like one like holdout in the Middle East that can like keep their eye on all the terrorists and all the boogeymen that are out there? What is it? What is it that we're always kissing Israel's ass and like saying yes for everything? Except for I saw that. I mean, that's my bottom line. Like I just don't understand. Whose side am I supposed to be on?
Excuse me for clearing my throat. Um, it's such an interesting dynamic because you have the differences between Israel as in the state of Israel, then you have the people, the Jewish people, all throughout the world, and you have the differing beliefs and allegiances and politicization of it all and the media propaganda of it all and everything that goes along with that. And what I'm doing now, and I'm not doing this to be rude to you at all. I'm not even going to school you. I'm kind of doing a collective, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I'm intaking everybody's opinions because this is something that I could speak to ad nauseum at great length. And when people ask, what's your opinion? I'm like, no. I like to hear what others are, and I like to kind of pay attention to who's directed by what. And it's nobody's fault because I think anybody to understand the entrenched history, the ongoing on either side it's so long and it's so ingrained and it's been so corrupted by so many different elements and just it's there's a lot there. So I am going to speak to it, and I don't know when that day will come soon. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to speak at length because I think I offer kind of a different perspective, a more unique
Mm-hmm.
perspective, if you will. But it's definitely a hot button issue, and I look at it as what it really comes down to is this is this is where I fall right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess this is my overarching narrative, and I really want to be positive, and I really want to look at things because we don't have enough positivity,
Right.
and that is something that somebody who I respect very much, Bill Mitchell, great radio show host, has his own network, and he always speaks to, and he does it great. He has engaging
Mm-hmm.
conversations, and it's always about let's talk about the things that aren't the hot points of the media, and let's reach towards positivity, unity, things of that nature. And we all know that I could do my loud and my verbose attacks and just go off on anything and everything and whatever the case may be.
Right.
But I think there's not enough. And he's very much right. And some that do say this are right. That I think everybody, everybody, it's we miss the fact that, and I hate to be redundant and go back to Trump, but I go back to Trump era, right? And we're not going to get into the whole, the America and the Israel state and everything along those lines as well.
Hmm.
I miss the the fact that we were so close to achieving, and whether this is right or wrong, I look at it like this: who am I to speak about what what the appropriate thing is? I say, if it's going to be a two-state solution, do it. I say murder on either side is wrong because,
Hmm.
unfortunately, for the Palestinian people, I think Hamas jumps in there, and of
Hmm.
course they're a state sponsor of terror. Sorry, not a state sponsor. They're a terrorist organization. So saith the world, and they do a lot of insane things. But at the same time, the Palestinian people and even Hamas can say the same thing about Israel, right? And
Yeah.
yes, Israel has the right to defend itself, and so does so do the Palestinian people. So it's one of those deals where it's so hard. It's because what's that old saying that one person's terrorist is another person's freedom fighter, right?
Well, it's kind of like the whole, like somebody said it to me one time, and I didn't even realize it like this. It was like, if you think about Star Wars, right? I know you're not a fan, but you understand the difference between the Empire and the Rebellion, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like you realize that Luke Skywalker and the Rebellion, they all like got together, and like they're the good guys, and they were able to destroy two Death Stars, and they all this stuff and free the galaxy. And it's like they were actually terrorists if you think about it, because the
Yeah.
established government was the Empire, and so it's
Well,
like, whoa, hello.
I don't know enough. I don't know if it's from one of the newer movies, but there's a line that Infowars has played a lot, which I enjoyed, and it's audio from one. I think it's one of the newer movies, and the girl says that, and the universe comes to an end to the sound of applause or
Yeah,
the
yeah, it
sound
was.
of cheering.
Yeah, it's one of the prequel trilogy. Yes.
Hmm. I like that because I think that's
Yeah.
that's very powerful.
Yeah.
That really is. And this is something that again, it's so easy for so many to do hashtag this and hashtag
Yeah.
that. And I sit here and I say, look at where we were. It wasn't perfect, but we were so close to achieving something different, something more. And we had, you could say, a more lasting piece. I don't even know if that's verbally correct, grammatically correct, but we had something that area has not seen in such a long time. And it's a shame that and this is something that's important to denote, the deep state doesn't just exist in this country, it exists worldwide. And the entities and the powers that be, they need conflict. They need murder, they need massacres, they need slaughtering, they need it's and I know this isn't exactly a very positive thing that I'm saying right now, but I'm saying that they capitalize off it, they market it. And it's a shame that we were so close to something drastically different, and then we reverse course, and it doesn't matter if I honestly think that if Trump was still in there, we probably would have had a longer lasting and maybe achieved more. But if it would have been a different Republican or the Democrat in there now, it wouldn't have mattered. We would have went right back to where we're at right now,
Hmm.
because instability breeds conflict, conflict breeds war, war breeds more money for the military industrial complex, and com- companies and everything just gets richer and richer off the blood in the streets of humanity. And I think who who am I? Who am I to say anything because I don't live there. I don't see it.
Right.
But at the same time, it's it's sad to see that we are engaged in this, but the positive takeaway I get from this, there's no way to put a positive spin on murder. No matter which side, no matter what, and people's opinions and beliefs, and to each their own, that's great. What I think that people need to do is not allow the these celebratory statuses to be like people celebrating that, well, Israel took down this building, or Hamas just killed this many in the strip. We don't need to celebrate that,
Right.
you know. But what is refreshing to see is the fact that at least more people are becoming active and more people are starting to wake up. And I say this, it's not just the youth in Israel. A lot of youth in Palestine, in various countries of the Mideast, and notably Iran. If you really go back to Iran, maybe if it was even a year ago, I'd be impressed. You had millions of people in the streets uh, wanting pedum, wanting freedom. Oh my lord! I'm sorry. I we'll blame that one on the medication.
There you go.
Wanting freedom and peace. I was trying to put words together.
I understand that now.
That's
Pedum.
wrong.
I kind of like that. We need pedum.
I create my own. I'm a mess. Again, let's blame it on the meds.
Yep.
But it's refreshing to see that young people, and we'll go back, and we don't have to go into a long form on this at all. I'm just saying that the freedom bracelets, or the liberty bracelets as they call it, after you get vaccinated in Israel, you have people that are politically left, politically right, coming together saying, the difference between this and a tattoo on your skin is what? They're waking up to different things and different ideologies that have been commonplace. And I think it's also happening in various Mideast countries as well, other than Israel. There's more people waking up and seeing what's happening. And I think that out of tragedy, out of conflict, out of murder, out of pain, out of loss, will the cooler heads, will the populism, will the unity prevail? I don't know. Because we have so many entities that are so focused on causing another world war. They're causing conflict. They're causing the division and the segregation. And they're saying that this is the way it has to be over there. This is the only way we've known. And now anybody that isn't so lost in their own cult-like indoctrination can simply say, you're mistaken. Because we've seen that it doesn't have this to be this way. We got closer than we ever have gotten before. There was something on the table. People were sitting down. Something could have come. But again, it's as if we wash our hands of it. And I think that's why it's beholden upon the people, not just in this country, although it would benefit many, it would behoove many in this country too, instead of getting so entrenched in the hashtag movements and the social media outrage, to actually educate themselves a little bit more. And it's hard. And when you don't know the history, when you haven't studied it, it depends on what you read. I mean, and I'm not saying this to knock on you, but when you brought up CNN, well, CNN just had to fire one of their contributors because he's been putting out pro-Hitler tweets and saying how he wants all the Jews dead, and that's why he supported Germany and he loves Hitler. So again, hiding in the virtuous of them, you have your wolves in sheep's clothing, if you will, right?
Right.
And it's just important for people to try to understand, but also recognize the sources. But at the end of the day, we could sit here and educate ourselves all damn day. We could sit here and look at everything and try to decipher and make the best out of it. But rage begets rage. Murder begets murder. At the end of the day, when you're seeing people getting attacked or attacking each other at protests in this country due to the Israeli and Palestine conflict, when you're seeing it happen in the United Kingdom, that benefits nobody. Right. That frees no people. All that does is guarantee more bombs will fall. More people will die. And at the end of the day, I sit here and I think to myself, this is exactly what they want. They want the chaos. They need the disorder, because in chaos, they can achieve control. But the shred of positivity is the simple fact that we've been close to a solution. Is it the best solution? Who am I to say? And I think so many people are so quick to speak out too, as if they are the subject matter experts. I'm not. I could sit here all day and run you down a list of 1,000 things Israel's done wrong. I could run down a list of 1,000 things Hamas has done wrong. I could run down 1,000 things Iran has done wrong. It's give and take. It's just like our country. We've done horrible things. You know what I mean? We could play that game forever and ever and a day, but it doesn't get us anywhere.
Right.
The more outraged we are, the more outraged we become. We're not paying attention to where we need to be and where we need to go, and it's hard. And I get it. I get it. It's terrible to see because the best laid plans, it works so well what they do. But the sad part is what they're doing is a recycled narrative. It's constantly recycled. There's nothing new in what they're doing. They're rehashing the same thing they did in 2015, 2016, 2014. Take your pick. It just goes on and on and on. It's a never-ending cycle of death, destruction, and it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible, and it achieves nothing. And people could say that's BS because it achieves nothing. And when I say I find the positive and negative, because more people have at least been waking up, and more people see it for what it is. Is that enough to change the bloodshed, to change the conflict? Time will tell. But I think it's an overarching narrative here. Whoops, I forgot to turn my volume off. I think it's an overarching narrative that if we continue to absolutely give in to the outrage machine, like we discussed the fear porn in the past and things of that nature, then we are feeding into the continued destruction of land, of houses, of lives, of families, because we're literally feeding into what they're doing. We're giving them, we're empowering them through our outrage either way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that not a lot of people see. But again, and I know I'm rambling here, but at the end of the day, we have to take the small victories, because no matter how many hashtags you put out, no matter how many videos you put out, no matter how many tweets you put out, media posts, videos, you, me, a million other people, we are not going to change what's happening over there. But in time, if enough people are willing to be brave enough, stand up to it, and actually go beyond the incessant need to attack and demonize and point fingers and kill and blow up and do this and do that, I I look at it I look at it like this. It comes down to so many people, and I think not enough people discuss this either. And this is something I would love to do a deep dive in. But if we go back to the days of the Holocaust or the rise of Hitler, I mean, there were many entities that funded what was done there and the atrocities that were committed. There are many entities that funded both sides of it, and it would blow the mind of many. And that's not conspiracy talk; that's factual talk.
Right.
And nobody does talk about that because people they can't understand. They can't understand the complexity of it and what was done there to cause this and facilitate the need for. I mean, I know I'm going off the rails.
No, no, not at all.
But I think it's an interesting time when we're at our darkest point on a world stage, that it's interesting to me, and it's enlightening to see some people at least waking up. And what does that do for the now? What does that do for tomorrow? What does that do for next week? I don't have the answer, and it's not going to bring a peace. But I assure you that every single person that is living their life to be outraged because they're told to be outraged, you should be mad about anybody having their lives lost. Not, oh, good, 4 Israelis were killed today, burn in hell.
Right.
It's wrong on either side. And, we could sit here and we could point fingers and, this one started it. I just want to achieve a point in this world, in this life, and isn't that like the dream, if you will, to actually achieve a peace that is lasting, where people could coexist, and where religion isn't the precipice for causing this displacement, this murder, these acts, this demonization. It's nonstop.
Well, I mean, you just hit the key point right there. I mean, we have had so many issues since time began, because of religion in one way or another. I mean, like, it's this religion against that religion. This religion says you shouldn't do this, and and it's we've talked about how religion is often used as a way to control people.
Correct.
And the problem is that it controls people and then indoctrinates them. And, I mean, then we have like no, the Israels. Listen to me. The Israelites are right. No, the Palestinians are right because like it's that's half of our problem. And a lot of people are like, well, you have to have God in your life, whatever God that may be, and and some people, I mean, I'm not poo-pooing that because I know religion is very important to a lot of people, but
Hmm.
you just have to stop and sit and think about how many conflicts in this world since we started keeping track of history, have been because of religion in some way, shape, or form. And it's just like, why is
It's a
no one
shame.
seeing that? Not why does no one say, maybe it's not all that it's cracked up to be. Here's a problem. I mean, because if you took, and I'm only going to speak for the Christian God, but I mean, like, everything that I learned as a church organist for a bazillion years, was that Jesus was a loving and kind person. He was born human, and all the whole nine yards, and we know that. But like, I'm pretty sure that most of the way that people act, when they say they're Christian, like, and some of the things they say because they're Christian, they're doing this and that, and I'm like, I don't think I don't think Jesus would be very happy about that. Like, can you honestly, like, some people out there, and you know who you are, can you honestly say that your God would want you to do X, Y, or Z, and feel comfortable enough that you've done X, Y, and Z because you're pretty sure that that's what my God says to do, and when you die, so you're going to be judged, right? You're going to go to heaven or hell. Are you sure you're getting that right? Are you sure you're going to wind up in heaven? Because I don't know. I'm no expert on the Bible, but I'll tell you, it doesn't seem very Christian like with the way some people act. Just saying. And it's not just Christians. There's other. I mean, all the religions are like, our way or the highway kind of thing.
No, there's a ton of of that with any. You're right.
Right.
It goes, it's so overarching. But I see this, right, and now I was raised Catholic. I was baptized, confirmed, all that good stuff. I was an altar server, all that wonderful, and that's great. Okay, but you know, and that's why I look at what's going on now. I'm able to look at this from a whole different perspective because I spent a lot of time actually researching and putting the work in to learn a lot and educate myself, and not just recently. We're talking years and years and years and years and years. And I think it really came with my enlightening of what a deep state truly is, and how it's not just in this country, and how it exceeds. And like we talk about the Mossad and the CIA and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
But when I see people say, um, take your pick. I've seen F the Jews, I've seen F the Palestinians, I've seen F this, kill all the Jews. I saw that was cute. Then I saw kill all the Muslims, and like that doesn't make it any better.
Right.
And then F the Israelis, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm very proud of the fact that I have Jewish blood in me.
Mm-hmm.
I have Jewish family.
Hey, according to my ancestry thing, I apparently I have some. I had to look it up. It was some name I didn't even recognize. It was like some kind of 7%, some kind of Jewish thing. I looked up, and apparently it's like a German Jewish thing. I'm like, oh, well, I didn't know that. So there we go.
Yeah, and I say that, and I say that simply because of the fact that we can't label the whole because of obviously
Right.
what's happening, and that's where I think that people kind of streamline into the hypocrisy world, and it's the nature of the beast. This is what happens, and it's a shame. And I think that people need to actually understand and embrace the diversity. And as I always say, and I think that I'm really with a lot of time to think, and a lot of time to really just kind of focus, where I'm in no way giving up on the mission of what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, I'm more committed than ever, though it doesn't show yet. It will in time. And I think, and I say that because I think that there needs to be that alternative. There needs to be that different way of thinking, that different train of thought. There needs to be something more than what we see, and just this one side bias and this one-sided condemning and everything else, to the point where there's nothing wrong with actually wanting to achieve a lasting peace, not just there but worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never going to happen. I'm
Right.
realistic of that because there's too much in conflict. But I think it's important to kind of go deeper than just what we see at face value. And I guess that's where I'm going. And this is all going to lead to I'm probably going to end up doing a solo show. And I'm not saying that as a knock on you either, please believe, or anybody
No, no,
else,
no.
because I guess I want to explain the viewpoints and where I'm going with what I'm thinking. But there's opportunity here. In the darkest times, there's opportunity because people, and I could sit here and some people do it. And again, to each throne, I legitimately say this: you should be free to live your life, to worship how you want to worship, live how you want to live, and that's what liberty means to me. That's what it's supposed to be in theory, and that's what I think people need to actually learn how to embrace. But I'm not going to sit here and say, well, it's because of the Satanist this, the Satanist that. Listen, I'm sure there's many people who claim to be quote unquote Satanists that aren't saying word one, nor do they care about what's going on in the Mid East.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Muslim thing. I'm sure there's many Muslims that do not have nothing to say. I closer to home, yes, but it's just to lump everybody, to lump the whole into the one, is where we got to move past, and that's just where my mind's at. I know I'm rambling here and I know
No,
I'm kind of going off a whole bunch of
no,
different
no,
routes
no.
here, but
Well, no, I
I'm
mean
trying.
you just made a good point because you're saying about how, you know, you're not all they're not all the same way, and there was that like I forget somebody tried to do the comparison about like, um, I think it was to the Muslim religion, like people were saying like you think all Muslims are terrorists, right?
Oh,
Because and then they did the whole thing like, well, members of the KKK are all supposed to be. It's a Christian group supposedly, right? So does that mean all Christians are KKK members? And it was like, people stopped. They're like, wait, what? No. And it's like, well, then how can you say all Muslims are terrorists? It's sort of like the same idea. Yeah.
it's insulting.
Yeah.
And it's the same way that on our show a couple weeks ago I spoke about my favorite orator of the world, my favorite orator of everything that's going on, no matter where you fall. But the best orator that this world has ever seen, that will always tell us, whether you're in America, whether in the United Kingdom, whether you're in Australia, whether you're in Asia, no matter where you are in the world, somehow, some way, and again, I preface this with I don't like saying this word, but I have to say it because it's appropriate. And again, I'm quoting somebody who I actually admire and respect, Mr. X. But the white liberal will always tell us what is demonized, what is right, what is wrong, and more often than not, the the white entrenched multi-million-dollar conservative will tell you how to fix it.
Hmm.
And the duality, the uniparty, the duality is a farce. The uniparty exists, strong, funded, organized, and we continue to just go on and on and on around the same vicious cycle, And it's sad. It's sad. It's sad that we have to be subjected to this. And as I said, and this was the positive that I was trying to take out of all of this, is because you gotta I don't want to say grasp at straws, but the simple fact, I hit my mic there. I apologize if you heard any weird noise.
Did not.
Um, there's at least an awakening happening. And could it be faster? Sure. But things don't go in our timeline. Things don't go the way we want them to go. It happens. It happens for however it's going to happen on its own timetable, whatever the case may be. But it's happening. And I draw it back to what I said to you months ago, that what this world needs, and this country aside, it's bigger than this country at this point in
Mm-hmm.
time,
Right.
is that true coming together and showing the faces of evil. And again, I'm not knocking those who say it. Some will say faces of evil. They'll say the satanic agenda. The no,
Hmm.
the ones who drive this, the ones who are the funders, the controllers, the manipulators, they don't subscribe to any religion. They are they are beholden to themselves and their own power, their own gain, their own net worth, their own control, land, whatever it is. That's all they care about. So they will wear whatever mask they have to wear to appeal to the masses. At the end of the day, they are beholden to only themselves and their own enrichment.
Right.
So I don't. When I say evil, I don't equate that to any one religion, any one person,
Well,
any one train of
what you
thought.
just said is legitimately what the Church of Satan has as what they do. It's basically it's like they're not like, they're not worshiping, having like, naked circles and, sacrificing animals, and they just, it's basically, we're kind of in it for ourselves, and we try to do what we need to do to take care of ourselves, and kind of like, fuck other people for the most part, and that's pretty much what you just said, because I've read about it. It's pretty much their tenets. It's like well, it was, and also just an FYI, and I was thinking about this, everyone immediately thinks that Satanists, that they sacrifice animals and all that stuff, and they don't. And you get some of these crazy people who do these weird, like, voodoo and witchcraft kind of spells. That's different. They're not necessarily Satanists, but just putting this out there. What religion had a whole bunch of people sacrificing a whole bunch of animals to their god?
Or children.
Yeah, just kind of, Old Testament kind of stuff there. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. And you're right. And that's the thing. And that's what people, that's why I always I get silent unless I'm, on one of my rants and I'm yelling and I'm raging, which I'm trying to be more calm, but for now, but that's why I don't like it when people point the finger at one particular, because again, we could find the faults and the shortcomings in all. And I think that's what people lose sight of. They don't the ability to kind of go inside of themselves, look inside, and realize that I may be a bit hypocritical if I'm defending this, but I'm saying this, when in reality, we could play that game devil's advocate all day. So
Yeah.
it's a very interesting dichotomy that's going on in this entire universe. But again, the positive that I take away is the fact that more and more people are at least opening their eyes or having their eyes open for them, which sometimes that is what it is too. It takes that.
Mm-hmm.
But people are starting to understand that when you stand up to the power structure, or you start to show that you're at least enlightened and educated and informed and know, and you see through the facade that's being, perpetuated onto the world, that they fear that. And that's it. I I could go hours on this,
Mm-hmm.
and that would be a very dull, boring explanation. But it's interesting. It's an interesting, when I see everything going on. Of course, the I don't want to say truther, the conspiracy truther or theorist in me wants to sit there and simply say, okay, so pipeline magically gets hacked by those pesky Russians again. And then, well, we have gas lines, we have gas shortages, so we need something new. Boom. Mideast conflict. Boom. Now you're paying attention to this and you're not paying attention to that. And it's again, it's like a shell game. And that's how I see things.
But it keeps happening because people are so fucking stupid. Look at all the people, like, so they even said, so first off, I was reading about the hacking, and the thing is that they were saying that somebody who'd done like a security analysis like a couple years ago had said, an 8th grader could fucking hack this thing. Like, what are you doing? Like, this needs to be, you need to step up your game. And like a lot of things that they had told them had to be put in place, and they never did. And so then you get these, so they're like, it's gonna, and everyone's saying there's no gas shortage. It's just a matter of transporting it. And they, they went and they said different governors and stuff like that, like, waived, certain, restrictions as far as, tankers and stuff. And so it's not like, you're going to be out of gas like for months, and people lost their ever loving fucking minds, especially down south where they were like, I don't know, it was like 70% of the gas stations, I think it was North or South Carolina, were like empty. Like they had no gas, and people were filling up like I'm like, okay, you know what? 2020 called. They want their toilet paper back. What are you doing? What are you fucking doing? Don't be dumbasses. And that's just the problem. People are constantly dumbasses. They're constantly, pulled along with the rest of the sheep, like, oh, what's going on here? And like, they are so distracted. I mean, we had a couple of mass shootings, and then that kind of went like, pff, like the press stopped covering that all of a sudden. Then we had the pipeline, so everyone forgot about the mass shootings, and then this is happening. Everyone's forgetting about the pipeline. I'm like, you're like a bunch of dumbass kids going from one display to another in like a candy store, going ooh, 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 and forgetting about the last ones. I'm like, holy fuck, calm down. Oh, it's
Yes.
frustrating.
Yes. And as you were saying that and laying that out, I was applauding because exactly. Do you see even the cadence in what you were saying of it goes from this to this to
Yep.
this to this to this? That's not normal.
No.
Um that's very much deliberate. It's very much by design, and thankfully there's enough people that see it now to get them to act and stand up in the face of it.
Mm,
That's the you know where do we go from there, right?
right.
But it's I I guess what I'm getting at here is I honestly think, in my heart of hearts, and I've said this to you before, I've said it on this show, I've said it on the Thursday shows, and a lot of people that are listening and will listen to this show or hear it on demand or listening all over the world that do not understand what VOP, Voice of the People USA, actually is. And I'm not talking about the radio, I'm talking about the activist group, things of that nature, but something that I think we legitimately need is just we have to be the spearhead or the tip of the spear, if you will. Sorry, Alex, I'm coining your phrase for a second. Somebody has to stand up and do something and set things in motion in a way that they won't understand. Because if I say we're going to go have a protest here and we're going to fight the power, fight, trigger words, they know, okay, they're expecting violence, they're expecting this, they're expecting that, you're labeled prior to getting there. There's always the stereotypes cast and everything else, and you're going to be dismissed, or you're going to be called domestic terrorist, you're going to be called this, you're going to be called that. There needs to be something more with the level of activism, and it needs to be bigger, it needs to be more verbose, it needs to be more united. And that's where we go into the interesting world, because one thing, we see protests happening in the streets, or whatever, rallies happening of this side or this side or this movement or this movement or this issue causes this, people on this side or this side of this issue or whatever it may be. We need to bridge that gap,
Right.
and we need to break down that entire paradigm, and we need to actually get active in a way that they will not understand or expect or see coming, be forceful, be large in numbers, and stand up to them in a united, peaceful front, but speak truth publicly. And the activist in me is dying inside because I want to be out there. I want to go back to holding rallies, and I want to go back to doing things. But I think I look at it now in the bigger scale, bigger picture of what we did back in 2007 to 2010 was great for that time. But where did we get attacked? Where did we get assaulted and demonized and called every name in the book when we were bringing people together? When we had so many different ideologies and people standing together in unity, finding areas of agreement versus division. And after that would happen, then instantly the New York Times and the AP would attack. As I always say, I got offended that they attacked me because I'm a nothing, I'm a nobody. But they lost sight of the whole. But I took it for the team. Like, thank you. But that just shows you when the propagandists will actually work overtime to demonize a movement of people coming together, finding similarities and finding unity. This was back before, this was even before the Tea Party. There needs to be more of that. And I think we have an opportunity, and I'm throwing this out there into the world, if you will, into the universe, because I have thoughts in my mind of where I want to go, what I want to do, how I want to achieve it. But what we need is to combine these worlds and combine activism mixed with what we're doing right here. True independent free speech platform radio, independent Radio Row, a place where we could have not only a rally or a protest of people coming together, but also have a Radio Row set up for independent truth speakers and sitting together, having grander discussions, whatever it may be. Am I far off with this vision? Like I know it
No.
sounds like this whole utopia thing in my mind, and I'm realistic enough to know that it's never going to look exactly how you envision it. We're not all
Right,
going to be
right.
sitting around singing "Kumbaya,"
Yeah.
but I think it could be achieved, and I think that there's not enough resistance at the activist side.
Right.
And when I say resistance, people immediately think that it's going to be a violent revolution. No, no. If anything, it's let's steal the terms that they've used in the past.
Right.
Let's actually bring people together, a force for good, defending the righteous, right? Defending the people who want to be heard and the people that see through the overarching lies of it all, coming together peacefully, is standing side by side, because that is the greatest power that we the people could ever have, is instilling fear through numbers and through unity.
Yeah.
And I know my vision is weird, and I know it's disjointed, but do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. You need someone to, well, all of the activism and things like that, it's like a knee-jerk reaction to situations and to things that have happened, and I'm not saying that that's bad. It's good. And I think that the most like momentum we had going was probably last summer with all of the ridiculous, horrifying incidents with police brutality. And so, the Black Lives Matter movement got going, and there was a lot of peaceful protests. I'm not talking about the ones that, where things, went crazy, but there was a lot of momentum for that. And that was a good thing. The peaceful ones, that's the kind of thing we need. And it went for a lot longer than I expected it to, which is great. And, but then like everything else, it starts to kind of like, people start getting back on with their lives. It's like, and I think it was especially powerful because so many people were, locked up at the time with, the pandemic. So now there's no real momentum for stuff. And you're absolutely right that something needs to be built, and that needs to keep going, and needs to catch fire and move throughout the country, and eventually hopefully the world. But yeah, if you don't start it and don't get going and don't start building it, like, and you have to keep that momentum going, because then, like I said, people go back to their lives and forget things, they're weekend warriors or whatever, and that's it.
Understandably so. That whole be the change that you want to see. And I'm not sitting here saying that my vision is the vision that's going to save the world. I'm saying that what we have a lack of, what we have a void of right now, is not so much activist, but activism to achieve a greater goal, and to confront it all kind of together. Because we constantly, whenever you have activists from A, B will be there to protest. Activists from B, A will be there to protest. Will it lead to fights? Will it lead to this? Will it lead to that? Maybe so. It's redundant. It's old. Be something different. Be something bigger. Be something more verbose. Be something more dedicated to the art of actually achieving true liberty and standing up in the face of any and all adversities. And I think, because I'm reflecting on the fact that we're coming close to, oh man, what is it, 2007. I believe, I got to get the date, I believe it's June 4th, or no, sorry, June 3rd, 2007 is when I held my first ever rally in Hazelton.
Oh, wow.
And from a nothing, from a letter writing campaign in a newspaper, to having thousands of people gathering in the streets, right? Which was was something powerful. It didn't feed my ego. It wasn't about that.
Hmm.
It wasn't about like, ooh, I feel like I achieved something. If anything, I got more determined to not let politicians come in and try to corrupt what we were doing, and then we started getting attacked by it, right?
Right.
But there was something beautiful about taking a microphone and going in the audience and handing it to people, letting them speak. That,
Hmm.
the dais is this ground that you stand on, that you stand together and you speak out and you speak up and you do something with your voice. So coming up with that anniversary, and then at the end of July, and I want to do something to kind of maybe, I know I'm speaking out loud here, maybe intertwine the two, but I believe I have it marked right here. Hang on. July 27th, 2009 is the first time that we did our first ever Voice of the People radio show.
Wow.
And, and we're doing shows on the quote unquote radio, if you will, in 2008, yes. But really, this was born into just true, the VOP radio, 2009. I want to do something to try to kind of intertwine them all, if that makes any sense. And again, I apologize to the audience, and I'm literally just thinking and brainstorming out loud here, but it is a conversation show. But
Nice,
I
nice.
right? And do I sound good audio wise
You
still?
sound fantastic. There was one or two times where I think you kind of turned away or something, like you're reaching for something, and you got a little like, but then you came right back.
Okay.
Everything's
Because
good.
of course I'm on the road and I'm using my 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 Yeti mic and everything else.
Sounds great.
But I want more. And something that I want to do and I want to solicit is feedback and input from our listeners all over the world. Because what you said before was important, that not just here but inevitably the world. I think right now we're going in reverse. The world is more active than ever. More people in the streets, more people protesting not just an issue but their governments all over the world.
Yeah.
And we have become the weaklings. We have become the, well, what the hell are you doing? And it's sad to see, but it's not indicative on the whole. It's not indicative on what we can do and what we can achieve.
Mhm.
So I'm throwing it out there again, and I'm going to move on from this, but I want to start formulating this, and I want to start making something. I want to build back better. I'm kidding. But come on, man.
Come
I
on,
think-
Jack.
I don't fix problems, I create them. Come on, man. Anyway, but I think that we could achieve something, and I think there's something to be said, because I don't care if we hold a rally and like I said, 2 people show up. It doesn't matter to me. But I think if we put heads together and get people, really entrenched and engaged from all different parts of this country, world, of course, and to all international listeners, we love you and I applaud your activism. But I think we could do something, because there's a void. There's something missing. And sometimes you could sit there and you can sit and wait for somebody to come and be your savior. I don't wait for that.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. I've waited too long. I have not held a rally since 2010. And I wanted to see more people doing it, and more people did start doing it. More people started going in the streets, but unfortunately, it really was the Tea Party movement after we started. I'm not saying we started it all. I'm not going down that whole road saying, oh, we started it all. We were out there and we were doing our thing, and nobody else was doing it at the time. Then they came into the picture, and then it got corrupted and co-opted and everything else, and it became what it became. And I saw for all these years that it seems like they've taken the spirit of activism. They've taken the spirit of people coming together and finding the ties that bind. And they've taken it and they've manipulated it, and they've manipulated people's opinions and passion and outrage and sincerity and thoughts and everything. And they've manipulated to make it, again, side versus side. And I'm just at the point where I think it's time that we start making preparations to do something more and to be something bigger than what currently does not exist.
Right.
That's where I'm at.
No, I think that's a great idea. I think I'm looking forward to it. And, as soon as you start feeling better, you've got to get that under control before you start going with this. But I know you've got a lot of people here willing to support you and to help you in getting that off the ground and running. I don't know the first thing about doing any of that, but I'm willing to pitch in.
It's, you know what the greatest thing was always? Holding a rally, picking a location, announcing it, and promoting it. And then a reporter will come to you and say, "Do you have the permit?" "A permit."
Yeah.
And then going through that whole horror show, then being at said event and saying, "And in 2 weeks, we're going here." Have nothing set up, have nothing, but it became fun. And I've learned to navigate that world very well. But there's something just powerful and forceful about it where you catch a momentum. And it's not the momentum of, oh, look at what I'm doing or look at what this group is doing. No, it's the people engaging. And it's the people actually coming out and standing up and being a part of something. It's like, that's what you feed off of. And you're like, this, we need to multiply this, make it bigger, make it bigger, make it bigger, And that opportunity exists. We can still do this. So it needs to happen because, and we could, excuse me, I had to clear my throat. I hope I'm muted.
You were. I've been clearing my throat like crazy. I'm hoping I'm muted. I'm hoping
you're good.
I'm hoping you would have told me by now. Like, geez, you okay there?
No, you're good.
Good. So you're fine too.
Outstanding. But I look at the body politic, right? And we could talk about Pennsylvania. Now, did you see that yesterday they voted for the referendum to basically end the governor making the decision to do emergency this all on his own and everything else?
I went to vote in person on that one.
Good. But and I'm not asking you how you voted. I think I know. But I'm regardless.
Oh, I don't mind. I definitely voted to take his emergency powers away from that motherfucker. Stop that shit. 21 days is more than enough.
No, amen. But here's my question for you. I see the same Republicans in the state celebrating it and sharing it, except State Representative Darrell Metcalf. He's an actual patriot. And I hate saying that term, but he's one of the good guys. Mm-hmm. But the rest of them, they say it, and thank God, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that.
They're not going to do shit.
Exactly. That is where I have my odds with this. Do you trust? Now, it was voted on by the people, which means it takes effect immediately. Has it taken effect yet? It's been 1 day. It's too soon.
Well, I mean, you're talking about that. It's not just Pennsylvania. I just heard this horrifying story of, was it Mississippi or Missouri? I forget. One of the M1s down there. That the people overwhelmingly voted to legalize medical marijuana. And their lawmakers said, no, sorry, that's not happening. Like this, their state Supreme Court, said, that's unconstitutional. It's ridiculous, whatever. And they basically overrode the will of the people. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it doesn't surprise me that like the people here who are like, oh yeah, this goes into effect. It's not in effect yet. Isn't it supposed to be in effect immediately, like you said? Yep, but nope, not yet.
Once it's on the ballot, it is my understanding of politics, and I know a pretty decent amount, especially Pennsylvania, when it's a ballot initiative and it's voted on, that's it. The people have spoken. Mm-hmm. So I do not trust these people to enact what the people voted on. And then I see with politics, and I see the people announcing for governor, and I have to sit back and laugh and say, oh, so this person hasn't lost at a governor race yet, so I guess this is the new venture. I do not trust the people running. Because again, we have, when you look at the likes of and pick your favorite side. With Pennsylvania, we could say a Lou Barletta, we could say a Doug Mastriano, whomever, or go on a federal level on the other side. We could say Ilhan Omar, AOC. Mm-hmm. People say the right things when it benefits them, when it's the most opportune to say them, because they know it's going to spark and generate a reaction and get them more money. I do not trust these people.
No.
And that's where the problem lies. I mean, I think part of this movement, and there's a lot of organizations out there that will help grassroots candidates get funded and get elected. I don't trust them. I've had, and this might be a newsflash to some, I've had 4 different organizations that are all about finding everyday people and getting them funded, getting them on the ballot and running for office, getting them elected. On the Democrat side, reach out to me and want me to run.
Wow.
My response to them is, "You've heard me speak, right?" I and I was actually respectful. I was. I said, "I'm not saying that I am, you know, I am super Republican here. I'm just saying that you've heard. I'm not
Yeah.
going to toe your
Your
line, their
line.
line, or
Yeah.
anybody's line. But they're all about it, right? And all you have to do is this, and we could do fundraisers, and then I start to think, and then I start to see, okay, so they're going to help you, but they're going to take something for you, and they're going to own
Yeah.
you, and they're going to own your position, and own your run, and own this, and own. And then on the right, they have virtually nothing. They're they're again, they could
They've sold their
criticize.
souls to the, I won't say the devil. I think the devil has higher standards, so.
You listen, I hate to break it to the GOP establishment. Like, listen, your best grassroots person ever has been Donald Trump, whether you assholes want to admit it or not, because it's the only one that's ever gotten any movement of people, because you do a horrible job and you learn nothing. But that's by design too. But I'm thinking that, that's another focus of what needs to come, is actually using the power of the populist movement and actually elevating people that way through these said protests, radio rows, rallies, whatever you want to call it, because there is not an independent arbiter that actually does this for the right reasons. It's always manipulated. I want to see people that are, use our network as an example. I want to see people from the Fred Hampton leftists running for office. I want to see people from the other side, different beliefs, running for. I want to see these people who are brave enough to speak their thoughts out loud and fight for what they believe in, and not funded by the big money of either side. I want these people to have a fighting chance, and they don't, because if you don't have the money and the backing of the establishment, you will get nowhere. We could create that force of nature. It's hard because they make it hard.
Right.
They make it impossible, but I believe it could be overcome. So that needs to be incorporated in this. I don't know what you call it. I don't know where you go with it, but it needs to be a higher level and incorporate so many different layers. So I bring this back to PA and I say, you have a Secretary of State who I find myself doing this more often than not, who professes to be a socialist, who is not a socialist. I am defending socialists against this guy because he's a fraud. And I found myself doing that sometimes, and I am not one, but still, people who are self-professed socialist, whether, and I'm not sitting here saying you're right, wrong, whatever, they have their beliefs and they have an ideology and they believe in something, and these people do not mirror that at all. They are just saying what they need to say at the moment. What we have is a self-professed socialist, just honestly a very bad individual in our Secretary of State, who is waiting in the wings to be the Democrat nominee in Pennsylvania, and is going to use the battle of the populist, if you will, on the Republican side, when they inevitably take each other out, and whoever's left will get eaten up. It's this constant cycle. And where are we going to go? Like, we have people that say, Doug Mastriano, I don't know if you're familiar with him from Pennsylvania.
I've heard the name, but I don't know anything about him.
He's a military guy, retired veteran, and he's in the, I believe he's state senator, and people love him. He's a great guy. And he fought for voter integrity and everything else, and wonderful. But he also, in the Republican-controlled House, signed the bill to enforce it and enact Governor Wolf's overreaching authority. So, is this the hero of the people?
Yeah.
Is this going to take you to the promised land? There. And then Lou Barletta, and most people don't know who he is. I have a very different perception of that man because I know the man. and I've seen the political opportunist in him, and I see you've lost here, you've lost here, you've lost here, but now you're going to jump in, and it's just we're backtracking. We're constantly doing the same thing over and expecting a different result, right? What is
Right.
that?
The definition of insanity.
Hmm. And let's be honest, Governor Wolf has been absolutely atrocious for Pennsylvania. I can't name. I think he's done one good thing, and that's with animals. That's it. And that's my personal opinion. But
Right.
I see nothing that this man has ever done good except benefit himself. Everything else, typical.
Right. Well, that's
And
normal. Yeah.
of course, but the politician that helped set the table for Wolf to come in and just knock them all down and get everything passed was our last governor, who was a Republican, who was an absolute piece of garbage. So it's just, we have to break the cycle of dependency upon these entities that they know better for us. They are the GOP, so they are the only way. The GOP is a corrupt, disgusting organization, and it's a shame. And the same, the RNC, DNC, we could go. It's all under one umbrella. And
they're getting like very comfortable in their, you know, superiority.
yes,
They're feeling that they're untouchable. I mean, look at the, Matt Gates gets, I don't know, the fuck from Florida, and and then you get the other on both sides. I mean, like they're all acting like they're untouchable. It's like, oh, it's not a big deal. Whatever I do, and it's like, really? Because yeah, no, you're having sex with underage girls. That's not allowed, and you're gonna hang for that eventually. But they all think, and again,
allegedly.
yeah, sorry, yeah, and they all think that, oh, well, nothing can touch me. You know what I mean? It's and it's like, you're gonna get to a point, because there's some crazies right now. And I look at them and I'm like, wow, who the fuck voted you people in? And then it's like, they're going to cross. They're pushing things now on both sides. They're pushing their parties on both sides, and I think they're going to find sooner rather than later that they're going to wind up eventually, somehow being removed, because the old guard won't tolerate it. Like, they're tolerating it now. It's a nice distraction, but I don't think it's going to be for long.
And I agree with you. And maybe Matt Gaetz is absolutely innocent, and he's verbose because he knows he's innocent. Great. Maybe the other ones are. Who am I to say? But you have this, and it's a perfect example. This Liz Cheney thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now you have the Democrats in Wyoming saying that they're going to help her get reelected because the Republican Party turned on her. You are the same people that protested her father and Bush for the never-ending wars, and this is a warmongering piece of trash. Establishment shrill owned by all of the big military, big pharma, everything else. And you see, there's nothing sacred.
Mm-mm.
They have no allegiances to other than who they can keep in power, who will continue to provide what they need to thrive and survive. I was having an interesting talk with my mom, and she brought up something about Nancy Pelosi and something, and I forgot how it came up, like 1979 or 1980. I'm like, yeah, that's what she got in Congress. And I think she asked me, she was like, Mom, she doesn't pay attention to a lot of the politics things. I don't blame her at all.
Yeah.
But she goes, when's her term up? I'm like, it doesn't matter. She's always going to win. She's 80 something. She's going to continue to win.
Yeah.
Because it's bought and paid for.
She's a lifer.
It's disgusting. There should be term limits on Congress and Senate. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I see what's happening, and I'm just it frustrates me to no end, because you have such a perfect time. My feelings. We spoke about this before anybody else ever even said the name. So realistically, I think you may have said it first, whomever. We said this long before it was ever in discussion. We said a Patriot Party.
Yep.
I still firmly believe that there should be an actual separate, because both are so lost. and so
Yeah.
far gone and so corrupt and so disgusting and so flush with big money and special interests that you're never going to save them. You're never.
Mm-mm.
And it's worth putting in the time and creating a new system versus trying to rebrand the old. I get it, but it's great. You have more people that are willing to fight and more grassroots candidates. Great. But how long will it take until they're co-opted and corrupted?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And how many are the what do we say, the Trojan horse, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
that are coming out there and selling themselves as women? I mean, we had that Connor Lamb in Pittsburgh who ran that special election for Congress 2 terms ago. He's a Democrat, but he's a pro-Trump Democrat. And he's this, and then as soon as he got in, he voted against everything he said he was going to vote for, and it's just they literally laugh at you,
Yeah.
and that goes either way. And that's what I'm thinking, like, you know, why do you continue to feed into it? Why do you continue to buy it? You know?
I think the biggest problem, and again, we've said this ad nauseum at this point, is the American people. There's a good chunk of them that are just plain lazy and don't care enough. Like when I went to we went to the polls on yesterday to vote. Like we're independents, so we couldn't vote in the primaries, but there were ballot questions, and we thought that was important enough to vote, so we went. So we go to the same place that we went for the presidential election. That was like parking down the road, and like I mean, it was a mob. We were a huge line. We pull in, and I'm like, this is where we're going, right? Because there was like literally 3 cars in the parking lot, and then there were two candidates for something were had a little tent pitched, and they were staying off to the side. And I walked in, and it was like wide open, and I'm like, hey, and they're like, come on in. So I was like, okay, so. I mean, so they're either incredibly lazy and don't give a fuck, and will say, oh no, I vote, and they don't, or they're incredibly stupid, and keep buying the same dumb shit that gets fed to them every single time, and keep voting for the same dumbasses or the same type of dumbass, or it's a combination of the two. Like honestly, because.
Yes, but also you then you have the other ones who did vote for the first time and then have no faith in the system.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
Yeah, you got to add that in as well. And I mean, what do you expect?
Yeah.
You know?
I have no faith in the system. Why do I keep going to vote? There's a definition of insanity, right? Come on.
Exactly.
What's wrong
right?
with me, you know?
It's crazy, and it boggles the mind. And when and going back to I know I'm all over the place.
I'm
And
following
please
you.
cut me off anytime.
No, I'm following you.
But when I go back to like the Lou Barlettas of the world, I mean,
Ugh.
for the majority of the world, nobody understands this. But I look at somebody like that. I look at somebody like that, and I see how I and people don't care about my story, but I legitimately seen this man who is allegedly fighting for the people of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, and then we were active and we supported him,
Mm-hmm.
and we basically, I mean, I don't know how to say it. We became his campaign. We were his ground campaign. We were his organizers without officially being so, because right after the first rally, it was so successful. But people started demonizing us, and I distanced myself from. And then a day later, hey Dan, you're gonna hold another rally soon? It's I seen the hypocrisy, right? And I'll never forget him winning his historic mayor reelection in Hazleton. He won both parties' nominations, and he was uncontested. So he won the biggest upset in the history of Hazleton, Pennsylvania. And he gave this big speech about a lot of people are asking, is he going to go to D.C.? Is he going to do this? He's going to stay and finish the job. Everybody went nuts. He came off the stage, put his arm around me and my friend Andy, the founders of VOP, and said, now we go to Washington. And I just looked at him like, you just got, and and that's okay. That's okay, because it was a crash course in I was younger then, obviously,
Right.
but really understanding the trenches and the disgust and the filth that is politics.
Yeah.
And Lou wasn't very happy when I got votes for mayor of Hazleton. Lou wasn't very happy when I got nominated for Congress and I wasn't running. He joked about it, but he wasn't happy about that. And I'm like, I didn't do it. Like, oh, why? Because these people, and I'm sorry, selfishly using myself as an excuse, and I don't know if anybody's even in the chat room. I can't see the chat room. I apologize. So hi everybody.
Well,
Um.
mom's saying that he used you, and she's absolutely right.
Oh well, go mom. She knows. She lived it. But I don't know, cool winky dink. But getting getting to see it and getting to understand it really it hit you hard.
Hmm.
And I remember what it was like, just the feeling like, listen, people can get on the ballot and people can win just by being that outspoken and that loud.
Hmm.
But you have to be louder than before. You have to be
Yeah.
more outspoken before. You have to be more concise and precise than before. And it could happen again. And I honestly think we're at the time where it needs to, because 2022, okay,
Yeah.
maybe the Republicans take back the House. What do you think is going to change?
Nothing.
Maybe the Republicans control the Senate. What do you think is going to change?
Not a damn thing. Nothing gets done
Exactly.
in DC, no matter who's in charge.
Exactly. So there needs to be that third way, if you will. There needs to be that variation, that something more, something greater than. And I'm really on this soapbox. I can't help it.
No,
I
it's great, I'm glad because I think that I agree. Oh, I definitely agree with you that it's beyond time that somebody needs to go stand up and do something, and you have that ability to pull people together on every side. You're not just riding whatever train happens to be running around right now. That's a terrible example, but you know what I mean. um,
no no
but
no
I
no.
mean, I think that this would be, and you have the platform, right? You have a great platform here, so I think that you should definitely use it. But again, the caveat being that you need to get your health in order before you get going, because that kind of stress that will just like that'll be no, you can't do that. You have to get yourself together first and then do it.
Well, of course, and and that's another thing. I will say, I am I am disgusted by the hero worship or the idolizing of anyone.
Yeah.
Right? I can't stand that. Believe in yourself. Idolize yourself. If you're religious, idolize your God. Idolize something bigger than just a celebrity, a politician,
Yeah.
a whatever. And I keep seeing this again with the constant campaigning for the vaccines and this and that and whatever. That's totally, we're not going there. But when I want to sit here and I want to sit here, oh my lord, I sit here and I hear the nonstop praise for the healthcare professionals, and even like a show like Top Chef. This is funny. Top Chef, filmed during the lockdowns in Oregon, and they're gonna go cook for the frontline workers in the hospitals, and they're crying, and it's so great to get chef cooked meals. Oh, did the over $100,000 a year, $200,000, $300 a year doctors not get catered today?
Yeah.
Oh, so they're heroes because they did their job. Well, let me be the first person, as somebody who has had to sit here for over a year,
Mm.
be wrongfully diagnosed, and my health is worse because of their ignorance and flat out disregard for
Yep.
people actually suffering and in pain. I'll be the first one to say, to hell with you. You did the job that you signed up to do. And I'm sorry, if we want to play the game of one represents the whole, I've seen enough TikTok dance videos. Oh, they needed to break stress. You know what? With all due respect, every last one of you can kiss my ass.
Yeah.
Because what about the EMS workers that are out there free or making
Yeah.
minimum wage, working 24, 36, 48-hour shifts? Do they get the praise and the adulation? No.
No.
But our hospitals who were, oh, we're at 100% capacity. Yes, in the 5 beds that you've designated for this particular thing, and you have 4 of them filled. We're not all stupid. The information is out there. It's like Fauci saying he didn't fund. Listen, lie better. Okay. And I'm not saying that it's a knock on the people who do it for the righteous reasons, but
Right.
I take it more personal. But I find it also, it's aggravating, it's angering, it makes me physically angry, which doesn't
Yeah.
lend to me being healthier, but it also helps me, I guess. And this sounds stupid, but I think it's always important to be open enough to and I was talking about this on Thursday, to be open-minded enough to always be able to learn and understand and take in new things,
Right.
and to be cognizant of what you're going through and have a better understanding, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
And I've lived it long enough seeing what my mother has gone through because of the medical malpractice and what she's gone through for the last almost 20 years of her life. And
Mm.
it angered me and disgusted me. And that alone set my mindset. You know, I knew what I thought. I knew what I thought. I know what I think, and
Right.
I know where my anger is directed. But then when it hits you personally, I can sit here and I can internalize it all day. And I can sit here and get angrier and angrier and angrier. And it's good for motivation. It is good for motivation when you want to overcome something and defeat something and rise above something. But also, it helps me feel for the people that have far worse conditions than me, my mom, that all of them had to get their would-be life-saving procedures. The people that have
Yeah.
died because they couldn't get into a
Yeah.
doctor because of COVID. They couldn't get to a hospital because of COVID. Essentially, you were murdered.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I can't shake that feeling. And it's good. It's good not to be so narrow-minded, single-minded, or closed-minded that you can't learn from things. Because if we don't learn, we don't become better. And if we don't expand our thoughts and expand our just who we are,
Mm-hmm.
what good are we? Right?
Right.
Just to be angry all the time, just for the sake of being angry, I'm good at it. But the the problem is my anger is directed. But even I get lost in the inertia sometimes. We all do. It's
Sure.
easy to, you know?
You're fighting an uphill battle. It's like, well, what is, I'm only one person. What does my one vote count? Not much or anything. So why bother? Why is my one whatever? And that's exactly what they want. You divide and conquer, as you've said. So, you divide people, make people think that they're alone and they're not worth, whatever they can do is not going to make a big difference,
Yep.
so, who cares? My $30 a month to the SPCA. What does that do? Oh, nothing. Actually, it does because it adds up after a while. You know what I mean? And like, there's something, you have to realize that, like, even if you, whatever little bit, it does add up.
Correct. And not getting so lost in your own, whether it be righteous or not, getting so lost in that one perception, that one whatever. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's really, really hard. But having that and focusing that and using it for good, using it for a purpose, and trying to elevate something and bring something more out of that. That's what we need more of, because I do not listen. I will thank a truck driver long before I thank a doctor or nurse for doing the job they did. All
Right.
right.
Yeah.
I will say, hey, a truck driver that's delivering food or medical, whatever, to point A from New York to California. Every truck stop is closed.
Yeah.
Every rest stop is closed. But hey, you better get there. You're an irrelevant. You're a hillbilly scumbag, whatever. But you know what? Thank you. Thank you
Yeah.
to the regular freaking people. So I don't engage in that whole the worship and let's bow down and praise because they're, and we see the people on TV crying. I think about how hard they have it. Really, it's nauseating to me. And I've spoken to people in the medical field and outside, and I've said the same thing. And I had one person say, "Well, you don't know what it's like." I said, "Nope, but you do because you signed up to do the job."
Yeah.
So don't sit here and cry me a river. Oh, but all the deaths. Oh, do you know something I don't know?
Yeah.
So people die, huh? Again, I want to really do a memorial show for, now we're close to 1.4 million that have died from TB, but I guess that don't count. But it's not even about that, and I don't want to get lost in that either. But ooh, what happened there? You can still hear me, right?
Yeah. Why? What's wrong?
Okay. I don't know. One screen turned off, and I don't know why, but that's okay. I was looking at the Jitsi screen,
Oh, gotcha.
and it went away. But I'm so determined, and I'm so fueled by this in a whole different way. And having ample amounts of time to drive, think, deal, whatever, is a very bad thing for somebody with a mind like me, because I'm constantly thinking of new things and
Yep.
thinking of this and thinking of that. It's counterproductive, but could be very productive. Who knows? So anyway, okay. Please speak now.
I have been speaking. It's just, you have a vision, and that's, really amazing. And, and you're talking about like the frontline workers, so to speak. And, yeah, I mean, you're not supposed to get, I don't know. You know what you're signing up for. Maybe they didn't quite expect something as insane as this. I mean, last time there was a pandemic, it was 100 years ago. So, I mean, and not thinking about it, I don't know.
There still isn't one, but that's okay.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's just like that you were talking about the truck drivers, and that really, kind of spoke to me, because I know that they, I have a couple of friends who well, one was, now one still is cross country truckers. And, it's I mean, I have often thought that if I had like if I didn't have somebody, like I didn't have like a husband, or like Kevin, like got tired of me and divorced me or whatever, and like, so then what am I gonna do? I don't know. Like, I often thought like, well, it could be cool to be a truck driver, because you don't have anywhere, you don't, if you don't have anyone. But it's hard to be a truck driver if you have a family. And they were definitely essential workers, and now they were talking about how when the pipeline was shut down, they were having the problems with transporting the gasoline. And, so many of the governors and the federal government, they all were like, okay, we're relaxing the rules so that you can, like, get the trucks running, the tanker trucks running and all that stuff. They didn't have enough people to drive. Like, that's one of the areas that it's like there are job openings and nobody wants to take that job. You know why? Because they know it's a thankless, hard fucking job. So, I who's going to sign up to be a truck driver right now? So, I mean, that's just one example. I mean, like, they, the same thing with, like, I guess some of the industries are having problems still, like with meat packing and all that. I mean, and those are essential workers, right? We have to have, food on the table and everything else. But that's another horrible job. I would never. I don't know how much I don't think you could pay me enough to be standing on my feet for 8 hours minimum shift, and just having one like chicken after another, you're just like butchering it. Like, I can't even imagine. And like, and they go so fast, and those knives are so damn sharp, and like, holy shit, And there are certain jobs, like Amazon workers, right? Working in the warehouse. I mean, that became an essential worker, because everyone was ordering everything, to be shipped. And so, like, it was hard to, and they have some crazy fucking working conditions too, So it's, I guess I'm kind of leading towards the area right now where, everyone's saying that there's, so many jobs and not enough people to take them. And some of the states are stopping, the extra payments and all that, and I think it's absolutely time to stop the extra payments, for unemployment and all that. But at the same time, too, some of these jobs that they're still having a hard time filling, like, maybe you should pay a living wage. Maybe you should make it not so horrifyingly dangerous. Like, some of those truck drivers, like, they push themselves and they're not supposed to, I mean, they have to have their logs, inspected if they get pulled over, and it talks about sleep schedules and breaks and all that. But then they're getting, they're getting, shit from their company and from the delivery place, so that, this has to be here at this certain time. And I mean, there's some seriously, fucked up shit, like on the real essential workers, those positions. And maybe we should, it's time to turn and look at some of that too, while you're getting up there and you're crusading. That might be something good to crusade about, for sure.
What I think is funny is, and the Northeast, not just in Pennsylvania, really throughout PA, but the Northeast as well, because here I am in New England, and everybody they're laughing, because now, in some places, you have gas station workers and factories and McDonald's paying more than they pay truck drivers.
Yeah.
And they still can't get people. So some places, they've raised the wage. 15 is nothing anymore. Now it's
Right.
18, 20, 22, and they still can't get people.
Oh, here in Matamoros and Milford too,
Yep.
They were saying, like, the restaurants. We went out with Jack and Judy, I told you, a couple weekends ago, and we were at the oh my god, I forget the name of the Hotel Faucher, if I'm pronouncing it right. Mm-hmm. And the gentleman who was waiting on us, like, this guy was probably 65 years old, and he was dressed differently from the other waiters. And I'm like, he's like a manager or an owner or something. And he was chatting with us for a while, and he was like, he goes, I can't get anybody I can't hire anyone. I get like 7, 8, applications, and I, schedule interviews, and then no one shows. And I'm like, holy shit. And he's like, well, Home Depot down the road and McDonald's, they're all offering $15 an hour now. I mean, and for this area, that's like double minimum wage. That's a lot for
More
here.
now.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. So that's like, holy crap, so that's a lot. And then and I saw, it's funny, I saw it was a representative. I don't know, or if he was somebody running for something. I don't know. It came up on my Facebook while I was actually on Facebook the other night. And he said something about, he was asking a question. He was like, should we, take away, like, I guess there was talk of taking away the unemployment bonus. And then giving, in some states, I forget who, some states, maybe it was Ohio, I don't know. Some states are like actually, taking away the bonus, and then like giving like a sign-on bonus. Like when you get, hired, you're going to get a bonus check of like, I don't know, $1,200, something crazy like that. And I'm like, wait, you're going to give them a bonus check to get a job? And then it's funny because like, I think the reason why it came up in my newsfeed is because my sister had made a comment on it, because I saw her comment. I'm like, oh, because and she was like, how about you give a bonus? Take everything away and give a bonus to the people who worked throughout this whole thing.
Yes.
And she did too. She's managing a pet food store, and so she was at multiple locations. So she worked this entire time. And as I've told you, she has Crohn's disease, colitis. She's 60 something now. Like she's like, hello, she's not exactly a very healthy person. She worked the whole fucking time. Give them a bonus.
Well, it's the same thing with the stimulus thing. Like the working parent, the working single parent gets less than, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, I say this, and I'm going to keep track of this over the next few months and the next year, 2 years, and I'm not offering an opinion either way on what companies should pay. But as you push for more and you think it's a wonderful thing, now Arby's has introduced automatic flippers, fryers, and servers to handle their employee shortages.
Yeah.
And I promise you, a one-time investment in maintenance fees will end up being a lot cheaper than paying employees.
Yep.
So what you think you're achieving is not the righteous way yet, because you're going to inevitably lose those positions forever.
Yep. Certainly not in those lower, profile jobs, so to speak.
And but like you said, to everybody else that's working at their same pay rate, at their same way, and has been working this entire time, what about them?
Yeah.
They don't count.
Nope.
We have to lure and bribe more people in here and over here and over here. And it's not, even that's not working.
No. And then I saw something where like now every parents are going to get a $300 a month. I don't know where this is, if this is everybody in the US, or is this just certain states trying it, but they're going to get like a $300 credit for each kid each month. I'm like, whoa, holy fuck. Like, I mean, I understand, like, so like if you're a working parent, if you're parent, and you need to have childcare, and like your kid is not in school or whatever, or whatever the case may be, I understand like daycare is horrifically expensive, and so that's helpful, but like that seems like a bad idea to me. And there's like, well, they're gonna get, they're gonna pull, I guess something like child poverty in the U.S. is ridiculous. I guess I forget what the numbers are right now, especially considering we're a first world country, and so they're saying that this is gonna pull us almost completely out of child poverty. And I'm like, you're just throwing money on the problem. Again, you're not looking at the root issues and helping the parents like get better jobs or better whatever. Like, no, here's some more money. Here's some money. Like, stop throwing money. And then we're gonna keep throwing money on the problem. The economy's gonna boom. Have you looked at things right now? They're talking about, like, Janet Yellen keeps saying, no, there's not gonna be there's no inflation. It's just a temporary thing. I'm like, really? And I'm looking back at the 1970s and what fucking happened back then. And I'm like, oh, hold on to your fucking hats, people. Yeah.
It's again, it's that same vicious cycle, right? And it's just what do you say? I mean, it's, you think you're fixing one, but you're creating 10 more, and inevitably that bill is going to come due. And that's what people, they want to live in the now and live in the moment, but they don't see where it's coming. You know, like I think I brought up on the Thursday show. I'm not 100% sure if that was then or whatever. And my laptop doesn't like me. Um,
Nice.
it just doesn't. It keeps turning off on me, and I don't know why. Where's my IT team? Anyway, um, you have this. Where was I going? I was talking about the economy. I was talking about it on Thursday, right? What
Right.
was I?
Yeah.
What was
And
I?
I
My
just got
mind.
done talking about the $300 tax credit and that they're throwing money on everything, and that's not even the problem. We need to fix the root of the problem, not just keep throwing money on shit.
I guess I lost my damn train. No, I thank you, but I don't know. My thought was flighting, but it's everything that's happening, everything that's going on. It's like you are recklessly, wastefully spending. Oh, that's what I was talking. That's what I was talking about. It's it's one of those deals where look at Ohio,
Hmm.
right? Fucking Ohio is one of those deals where you have you have employment numbers are their governor is a GOP establishment shill. And now instead of taking care of the workers who are working being underpaid or the people that are trying to get jobs that for some reason can't, even though there are jobs, but let's give $1 million lotteries for those who get vaccinated this
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
Like it's disgusting to
Was
me.
it like
And
5 people a week for 5 weeks, or is it one person a week for 5 weeks? But
I
yeah.
think it's one person a week.
My
I mean,
God.
that is so. And I'm not even getting into the vaccination discussion. This discussion. It's disgusting because of the bribery and the wastefulness of it, right? And though I've always been, you know, a supporter of capitalism, capitalism is it's broken.
Yeah. Well, that's what
It's
Ace
not
just.
this.
That's exactly what Ace said. She literally said that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I honestly did not see.
She
So
said
again, I
capitalism is not built to last. Every 4 to 7 years, it collapses and calls it one thing or another and puts a band-aid on it with some bailout.
exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
let's be honest. True capitalism. I mean, we haven't seen that in. My God, we've seen so many
100
contorted
years.
versions. Yeah, it goes back to what I said a long time ago about America. Like we talk about, we need to be this, we need that. Why not be a constitutional republic that we never actually were supposed to be, but never actually achieved?
Right.
Capitalism's broken. Doesn't you never really did it, tried it. You've done your own version. You've wrecked it. You've ruined it. You've done this. You've done that. So it's lost. It's lost. So I see the pros and cons and the arguments for and against. I do, and I'm a capitalist, but at the same time, it's broken. And the problem is the people that are telling you that it's all okay, they know it's broken
Yeah.
and they don't care. Because they continue to get enriched, and the more people that go into the poverty spectrum, they get richer. You know,
Yeah.
and it's a shame to see. And that's what I was going to talk about before. My sorry, my favorite little gnome,
Your
and
favorite gnome.
yes, and I said this only because I was at the gym that day and I had to see his nauseating little face on the TV there in the gym. Neil Cavuto of Fox News, you know, applauding how great the economy is because Amazon made so much money during this last 3 months, and Apple made so much money, and Samsung, and the stimulus is working, and the economy is great, and let's recognize the good things. So the free money that was never free, that was off the back of the taxpayers, you, I, Ace, everybody who works, right? We footed that bill, and we got a mere crumb of what it actually entails. And oh, so the economy is doing good because people went and what bought more phones, bought more
Yeah.
computers, and so the richest get richer, and you're celebrating this. And when you see the propaganda in real time, and you see them saying this, it to me, it is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. It's just you're literally trying to upsell the fact that wasteful spending is now saving the world. Sure it is. Sure it is. I just, it disgusts me.
Yeah.
It just, and when you see it, and again, they could sit there and they could point the finger and call this one a right winger or a left winger or a conspiracy theorist or a propagandist or anything. What are you doing?
Yeah.
You are literally fueling the hypocrisy knows no bounds, knows no limit. And it's disgusting. And I know a hot button issue, which people don't like to talk about. And again, I am not versed enough to speak to, line item by line item of what's good, what works, what doesn't work, what this, what that. But again, all right, you say Florida, oh, he's a piece of shit. He's great. He's a savior. He's evil. He's Satan. He's everybody with the opinions. Well, newsflash. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of the measures that he's done in Florida were actually supported by common sense Democrats and Republicans. And statewide, they're doing better than most other states. You can't debate the truth. The truth doesn't care about your opinion. Facts don't care about your opinions, right? And again, and I'm not saying all hail him or anything else. I'm just bringing out a higher point is the simple fact that they will ignore the reality of the situation. And they'll say, oh, well, but this is happening, and this is happening, and this is happening. Okay. Did I say everything that's going on is perfect? What I'm saying is this has been successful, this has been successful, and this has been successful. You can't argue the facts. That's the again, no matter how mad we may get, if it was a Democrat in charge doing it, I would say the same thing. Mm-hmm. Some things do actually work.
Right.
And that's where we're going into dangerous territory, because states' rights are, you want to talk about an interesting battle that's worth coming, is truly states' rights. That is, and people don't talk about it. They talk about, oh, well, Texas and Florida. Texas is by no means the leader of freedom forever. Listen, their governor is quite corrupt. Okay, and he's no hero. He's basically emulating what DeSantis is doing in Florida. Right?
J.R. Ewing is the governor of Texas.
Right? It's not working. But nevertheless, we have people talking about, oh, well, things are doing great in South Dakota, North Dakota, Montana, and they keep bringing this up. I'm telling you, you wait. This is going to become bigger and bigger and bigger. Not the secession talk. I know Texas is going to secede every 2 years.
Yeah,
they're gonna leave, except when it gets cold. We need everybody to help them.
Then they need the oil.
Anyway, I went into that one on Thursday too. Yes, but states are losing their individuality, or you have a situation where a handful of states are welcoming federalize us. You say what we can do and we will embrace you with open arms. And people say, oh, those are the Democrat states. Well, Massachusetts and Vermont are run by Republicans, and they're just as bad as your worst Democrat. So, they're open arms. Yes, federal government, you tell us what to do. Then you have other states, we don't care what they say, we're going to do this. And we have the numbers to back it up. Yup. And there's more successes in those states than the states that choose to live off the teat, if you will, of the federal government and follow them, hook, line, sinker. But bigger issue is, I'm not the only one that makes the joke anymore about pretty soon you're going to have to choose whether you want to live in the free states or the occupied states. Huh. Something bigger is coming. And that's a scary reality. That's you as a teacher. Like, surely when we learned about, even me, in school, we learned about the power of the states, and how states have individual identities and everything else. Do you really think that's being sold and taught these days, like to the level that we were educated? Do you think people understand it?
No. I mean, I can't speak for everyone, but I can tell you for definitely, at least in the more, in the inner city of New York, if you're in one of the, top 20% of schools maybe, but the rest of them, no. Like they're not learning shit right now. And I've watched the curriculums. I mean, I'm not an expert on the social studies curriculums in the high school, but I know that a lot of schools, and not so much my school, because I have to give credit, like where credit's due. We have a really pretty tight social studies team. But I've heard a lot of other schools, and they're all like too involved. Like they've kind of like forgone like the entire curriculum, and have just jumped onto the whole bandwagon of let's teach activism, and you know, we're going to go out there and we're going to protest this and that and everything else. And it's just like, do you think that they really understand what they're protesting? Like, have you done a deep dive on this? Because I've talked to my kids, like they show up in class, you know, well, not again, you know, some of the kids, like, and I just said the social studies team is good. I can speak for the 11th and 12th grade social studies teachers. I don't know the other ones. But I've had kids, you know, like we talk about things and they'll ask me questions, you know, what do I know about this? What do I think about that? And, you know, and they, you know, I'll always be honest with them. I said, well, this is what I think, but, you know, I'm not saying that I'm right. And like some of them, I'm like, well, you know, so-and-so is going to organize a group that's going to meet and do a march for whatever the, you know, insult du jour is. And I'm like, so what are your feelings about it? If you just ask them a little bit, it's just like the adults too. They struggle to put into words what they actually believe and why they want to do something. It's like, well, why do you think this is going to change things? How is this going to help? And it's like, and I'm like, oh God. So I don't think they know shit about government.
In today's age, the greatest way to be a rebel or a quote unquote freedom fighter is to be a conformist. Mm-hmm. That's sad. We have made conformity commonplace and the overarching narrative of everything, that as long as you conform, you're an independent thinker, you're an independent speaker, you're an activist, you're a patriot because you conform. What the heck happened? And you know, I that irks me, because you know my whole thing with the conformity thing, because you're the one that put me through that. Remember when I found that audio bit of whatever it was? I can't even remember. Whatever you made us read, or you read to us.
Right. What was it? Walt Whitman?
I think so. I think it was about the conformist and the I am a nonconformist.
Right.
I have the audio somewhere.
Yep.
But I that again, that's powerful, because that is one of the many things that you instilled in me that still to this day, granted my memory could be whatever, but I never forgotten the core concept of it, what it was to be a nonconformist, to not let anybody else control my thinking or how I'm influenced or how I'm this and that. And we're all imperfect. We all deviate, obviously, but staying true to yourself and finding power in that, I never lost that. And we're at the point now where that is becoming almost heretic. Yeah. That's a shame. That is the biggest atrocity, I think, that even with something that would make you different, now it's falling in line like the rest. I'm different just like everybody else. I'm unique just like everybody else. Yeah. And it's just, when you see the tentacles, if you will, of how they're just in, you know, into everything and what they're doing, and just it angers me.
Well, I mean, and that's and I think, you know, it angers a lot of people, but then they just don't know what to do about it, and so then they just stew, you know, and you know, and I mean, like, I'm kind of, I guess, I don't know if it's guilty or if I'm just smart about it, but like when stuff is happening and you know, and there's nothing I can do about it, or I don't know if there's any, I mean, I'm not the one, I refuse to give in as far as like let anyone think. I mean, I may be really upset about something, but I'll be damned if I'll let them know it. You know what I mean? Like the powers that be or whatever. Like I'm not going to, you know, make, you know, whittle down to like, I'm so sorry. Oh my God. Kevin is watching like the end of this Breaking Bad, and I just heard like, like super loud from the back. Like, I'm sure somebody heard that. My God. Sorry. So, oy vey. I know this microphone is very delicate, so it picks everything up. So yeah, I mean, it's just, it's, it's a dying breed. That's not even the right term. It's just it's a dying art to be able to show someone to, be the individual and to step away from the norm, to step out of line. I mean, there's a lot of people who want to and who say they do, but they're afraid to. And I can't blame them. I mean, I stepped out of line and boy, did I get, did I get smacked? I'm like, oh shit. Yeah, I lost my job. Oh, oops. But I mean, so I understand it doesn't come with, a safety guarantee or anything, but I mean, you have to start somewhere, baby steps, something.
Yeah, and the irony of that we never even really touched on is the fact that here you are, the one that taught that to me, which set forth my entire, just everything. Says so much stuff in ocean. Like I said, you, my mom, the things that you instilled in me, set it all in motion, and there you were, being you and living what you teach, and you succumb.
Yep, I paid for it.
Yeah. The irony there, right?
Yeah.
It blows the mind. It really, and now it's commonplace. You don't even hear about it. If you say something out of turn, then we're just going to turn you off. We're going to limit your reach. We're going to suspend you. We're going to blacklist you, and you don't exist. You're unpersoned. It's
amazing, right?
Too much power.
Yeah, absolutely.
Too much power has been given to these people who only have their own self-interest at heart.
Yeah.
Either side.
I think that's the perfect spot to wrap up because
Are we done already?
4 minutes, and I know you usually like to do your little, spiels at the end, but that was beautiful. That could not have been timed better.
Wow, I didn't even realize the time.
No, I rarely do, except for when I'm sitting in front of my computer staring at everything, making sure everything's working, because I get a little stressed about that. And now I'm like friggin' dying. I'm almost starting to sweat, and I'm sitting still. Do you know how much that pisses me off? I don't mind sweating if I'm being active and doing something, but if I'm just sitting still, and I'm just starting to sweat, that just no. I know. I need to put air conditioners on. I'm going to upset Kevin. Like, it's supposed to be down to 53 tonight, but I'm like, I don't know what it is upstairs right now, but I swear, I'm dying. No fan, because I would interfere with the sound. Just saying. I am dedicated.
You went hardcore. You went all in.
I did.
Thank you. Because, again, I thought I'd be able to run it, but...
No.
Anyway.
No problems.
But yeah, even if the temperature is going to be low, we got the humidity coming in. Well, I'm not there, obviously.
Well, thunderstorms coming in tomorrow, so yeah, there comes humidity, of course. Like, it's going to be worse.
I think it was like not even a week ago. It was snowing in the middle of the night. We had flurries.
Yep.
Here we are, back to
global warming, Dan. Global warming.
That's right. Global warming, cooling warming.
Motherfuckers.
See? Like, we talk about this, but we don't talk about the eradication of fall and spring, you bastards.
You know what? Motherfuckers, how dare you?
How dare you take it away? Well, this has been fun. I'm sorry I talked a lot.
No, it was great because, like, the last time we tried to do stuff and then it didn't work out real well, and then you haven't been feeling good, and, like, this was great. This was cathartic. It was wonderful.
Yeah, no, it was fun and thinking out loud. Yeah, and no work has interrupted us this time, which is a beautiful thing, which I'm grateful for.
I'm looking at the clock. It was 6:59, and I hear you on the phone with somebody from work. I'm like, oh, you fucking asshole.
Yeah.
I'm just going to start the music and let it play for a long time.
But I made it.
You did. You popped right back in and 6:59.40. I was like, wow.
It worked out good, huh?
It did.
But, no, thank you, as always.
Thank you.
And to everybody listening, thank you as well. I'm not going to attempt to give out schedules and everything
I
else.
Don't anymore. No.
I probably screw it up. I entrust the much smarter people like Ace and Elias who put out the schedules and everything else. And they work that magically. And honestly, I know I would butcher it, but obviously, VOPUSARadio.com. And if you're following us on Twitter, now, Ace, I don't know if you're still in the chat, but I think it's VO2PUSA.
What?
VOP2USA.
Oh my God.
She started, that's the only one that hasn't been suspended. And, of course, my own at Dan Smeriglio.
Give it time.
Oh yeah, it's coming. We know that. But obviously, more shows coming. Tomorrow night, I'm gonna attempt to do my show, I guess, because I'm still gonna unfortunately gonna be on the road. But I may do a 9 p.m. start time, honestly, instead of the 7 because it's gonna be a very busy day.
Gotcha.
But my intent is to do the show tomorrow night. That is my intent. So hopefully that'll happen. And everybody else that's listening everywhere, thank you as always. And again, VOPUSARadio.com. Follow us, subscribe, listen to all the great content, all the great shows, and we welcome you to the conversation. And people who are out there that like to brainstorm and think about what I said and help make this idea steamroll.
Absolutely.
That's my request.
All
So,
right.
there you go. With
'Kay.
that,
Have a wonderful night. Love you all, guys. Thank you so much for listening.
love you. Thank you again. Nice. I know. That's what I have.